Hello, everybody. David here. Welcome. Here we share true stories from real people. Today, starting out with the first story. Once again, I was left out of my daughter's birthday photos, and I'm done talking to my husband about it. Pretty much as the title says. My daughter turned 5 in the middle of last week, but we had her birthday party yesterday. We hosted it at the local trampoline park because that's her favorite place right now. Big laughs. Because of my husband's work schedule, most of the planning fell on me. He contributed financially, but I planned the theme, booked the venue, ordered the cake, prepared the party favors, and so on. My daughter is a big daddy's girl, and naturally, he's the beloved parent. She's only 5, so I can't hold it against her, but it still hurts. For health reasons, I couldn't jump with her, but my husband could. They both had a blast, and so did the other kids there. But just like in previous years, I was the one behind the camera. I took all the photos, just like I do every year, and I'm in none of them. I've talked to my husband about how I feel before, but all I ever get are empty promises about how he'll do better. Last year, we rented a room at the local convention center for her party, and I asked my grandmother to take a picture of me and my husband holding our daughter while we sang happy birthday and cut the cake. Instead of taking a picture, she recorded a video. Once again, no pictures of me. Call me old-fashioned, but I like to print photos for a photo album, and I definitely can't print a video. So, yet another year with no photos. After yesterday's party, we decided to take her gifts home instead of opening them at the party. The kids had such limited time at the park, so rather than spending 20 minutes opening gifts, we thought it would be better to take them home and open them there so the kids could have more playtime. Even while opening gifts, I was still behind the camera. My husband never once thought I should be in any of them. By the end of the day, I was really upset, and I'll give my husband credit for knowing when I am. But once again, I wasn't exactly hiding it. I went to say goodnight to my daughter because I had to be up early the next day. He followed me to talk. He said, "What's wrong? What did I do?" I just looked at him and said, "It's what you didn't do," for the 3rd year in a row. I went into the bedroom, and he didn't follow me. I'm just done. I'm so tired of his empty promises to do better. Outside of little things like this, he's a good husband and a great dad. But it really feels like there are times he just doesn't think about me at all. And if anyone is thinking, why don't you just ask him to take a picture? I shouldn't have to. I think my husband should want to take photos of me and our daughter. The last picture I remember him taking of me and our daughter was at a restaurant on my 29th birthday, and I had to ask him to take it. I'm so tired of this. At any time, I could get sick or have an accident and die, and the only photos my daughter will have of me will be the selfies I've taken. None of me on her birthdays or even holidays. Because of our busy schedules, I won't see my husband again until next Sunday, unless he stays up all night to see me in the morning, which he sometimes does. Part of me wants to text him and lay it all out again, but most of my mind is telling me to just let it go. I said it's the 3rd year in a row, but it's probably been more. I can't remember seeing any photos of me and her on her birthday, or even just me in the background. I'm just so hurt and tired of it. Thanks for reading. Related comments. Luscious lips, I'm really sorry you're going through this. Your feelings are completely valid, not just about the photos, it's about feeling seen and appreciated in your family. Maybe suggest hiring a photographer for important occasions. It could take the pressure off you and ensure that you're part of those cherished memories. Oh, thank you. It's nice to have validation. Unfortunately, we're not in a position to afford a professional photographer. I might talk to my mother-in-law and see if she can help take photos at the next family event/holiday/birthday. I definitely don't trust my husband to do it, even if I talk to him again. Dogfish frostbite. Does your husband take photos of other things? OP, not really. He's taken selfies of us together and just her. But for all the major events, it's almost always me. As Sanford 704, some people just suck at taking photos. Some people don't think about it. Yes to you, he should think about it, but that's your expectation. Do you think if you didn't take pictures of him and her, he'd be just as upset as you are? Some people care more about the moment than about taking a picture. Either way is fine, but if you want more pictures with your child, ask. Even if you have to ask him 20 times in one day, ask. That's what you want. And if he wants to, he'll take the picture. If not, it's okay. Just because he doesn't take pictures of you doesn't mean he doesn't think of you, doesn't mean he doesn't love you, and doesn't mean he's not a good father or husband. You're valid in your feelings, but expecting him to make the right choice for you isn't going to solve it. That's a fight/stress waiting to happen. OP, thank you for this insight. A lot of what I wrote was before I had the chance to really calm down and think things through. The biggest reason I'm hurt by this is because I've talked to him about it so many times, and nothing has changed. But I also realize, as you said, that sometimes he's just in the moment and not really thinking about photos at that time. I'll sit down with him when I see him to explain my feelings again, but also ask him to take photos when the time comes. Thank you for giving me a fresh perspective on this. I'll work with him to get better at taking photos in the future. Advanced Passage 492. Your feelings are valid, but you're cutting off your nose to spite your face here. You should insist on some photos. You're right, you shouldn't have to ask, but the end result is no photos, and you can't get that back. Ali Kitty, I'm going to be honest and a bit harsh here. In 3 years, you know your husband doesn't think about taking photos, but for 3 years, you haven't thought about speaking up and asking for a photo? This is on you too. Sit down with the presents, hand your phone to your husband, and tell him to take pictures. Set up your phone on a tripod, and set a timer to take pictures every 30 seconds. Take selfies. Literally, do anything because you're doing nothing and getting mad about nothing. Clearly, your husband doesn't care/remember/think about taking pictures. You're doing the same thing year after year, but getting mad when nothing changes. Change it yourself. Update, August 9, 2024. Thank you everyone for reading and commenting on my post. There were many supportive comments but also some harsh ones. But I appreciate them all, as many people made great points. Before I dive into the update, there were a few comments that were made that I want to address. Many people pointed out that my husband is probably just a person who likes to live in the moment, and I agree 100%. The biggest reason I was hurt is because of how many times I've talked to him about my feelings, and nothing has changed. However, as many have said, he probably doesn't think about it at the time. I don't think he's intentionally doing or not doing this out of malice. Maybe he's just having too much fun with our daughter and forgets, and I shouldn't let it affect me as much as it does. I still think I shouldn't have to ask, but it's clear we have different perspectives when it comes to special occasions. He wants to live in the moment, and I want to capture those moments. That being said, please know that I'm not always holding the camera. I just use my phone to take pictures occasionally. I put my phone down so I can enjoy our daughter's parties and family gatherings. I just want him to do the same with me sometimes. Many people said to just take selfies of me and her, and I do. I take a lot of them. I also just like the photos that others have taken, or even just ones of me being there without necessarily posing. Just pictures of me playing with her or hanging out at parties with family and friends. Many suggested hiring a photographer, but that's not something we can really afford, but hopefully with our talk, we won't even need to consider that. Now for the update. My husband and I talked last night. With nothing going on the next day, I stayed up late so I could have some time with him, and I finally wanted us to talk. When he got home, we sat down. He said he still didn't fully understand what he did wrong, and I told him again that I'm not in any of the photos, and how I've talked to him multiple times about this. I said I understand he's more of a live person, but I just want proof that I was there too. that I was at her parties, and I want her to have memories of me being there. Our daughter is only 5, and she won't remember her parties or holidays from when she was young. When she's older, I know she'll know I was there, but I also want her to see me in those early years as she grows up." There were some tears, and we apologized to each other. He promised again to do better, but I won't lie, I'll believe it when I see it, as he's said it before, lol. And I promised to be more understanding of his values. Going forward, I'll also ask family and friends to help take photos so there are more memories preserved and not just me. And yes, as many people have said, I'll be more straightforward in asking him to take pictures. Thank you again to everyone who commented on my last post. I appreciate the support as well as the comments that offered great insights into how we all have different perspectives, and I need to be more understanding of his values and not just my own. Hello, everybody, David here. Welcome. Here we share true stories from real people. Today, starting out with the first story. Best friends and wife dropped the ball, struggling with how to handle it. Original post, October 30, 2022. Reason: I fully understand that there are much greater tragedies out there than what I'm about to describe. I just need to write this out and would appreciate any feedback or strategies. Myself, my wife, and our college friends, including my best friend and his wife, have been participating in a college football pick'em league for the past 12 years. It's all in good fun, but I'd say most of us take it pretty seriously. Over the years, we've had different winners, but for 6 straight years, there was one guy who kept winning. Each year, we throw a big tailgate party at one of the games where the previous year's winner is honored with a speech and a trophy. Last year, we even arranged a surprise cameo video at the tailgate for the guy who won 6 times in a row. I broke his streak last year and won the championship. But I'm also the one who usually arranges for the trophy and cameo or whatever cool thing we're doing. So yesterday was our big game, and it was my chance to be recognized as last year's winner. A few hours in, my wife had a few drinks and said, "I don't even know what we're doing this year for. The guy who won 6 years in a row." Then I said that actually, I was the one who won, and her entire face changed. Our friend standing next to her went pale as a ghost. First, they laughed, then said, "Wait, that was you." I realized at that moment that they or anyone hadn't even thought about doing anything. No trophy, no speech, nothing. My best friend quickly got informed by my wife that they forgot to do something, and he said nothing. Couldn't even make eye contact. It got worse for me. After it all started, a full hour later, I went to the bathroom. I came back out, and some people started clapping because my wife had awkwardly arranged for the party crowd to do something. It got even worse, because the guy who won 6 years in a row and always got something cool was laughing hysterically, making everyone forget what they were supposed to do. I'm just sad. I really don't want to talk to my wife. This morning she gave me a very brief apology and offered sex to make me feel better. That made it worse. I drove 6 hours home, crying, wondering how a group of people I love and care about could just drop the ball. I sent a message to some saying how awful it felt to be forgotten. It's bad. I'm sure tomorrow I'll feel less sad. Related opinions. Moon, Glade Women Error. You're the planner. You're the one who brings everyone together and makes sure no one or nothing gets forgotten. So when you don't do all the work, no one else does. It sucks that they forgot to celebrate your win. You deserved the recognition, and they let you down. Truly sorry, Ob. Back. They dropped the ball, and then handled it really poorly. A sincere apology should have come as soon as possible, followed by making it up to you. I'd really want to join another league, just so you could forget about it and detach from that scene a bit. Even if they didn't do the celebration / you're the planner for the group, it's still not cool. I hate football, but this pisses me off. Everyone loves getting their moment and praise, but not everyone is good at returning the favor. OP went out of their way to make sure anyone who won had a good time and felt special for 6 years and got nothing when it was his time to shine. And on top of that, his wife tries to downplay it and act like he's overreacting. Feels bad. The least they could do is apologize, especially the one who laughed after OP, who made his win special in the first place. Kazuka got 420. This isn't dumb at all. You're totally validated in how you feel, and it sucks that your friends and wife didn't recognize how important this was to you. I totally get it, it's not about the fantasy football, it's the pretense of the whole situation. Honestly, if it were me, I'd call my friends on the phone or meet them in person, not text, and tell them how it made you feel unappreciated as a member of the friend group, and how their reactions were after realizing you were the winner. Not because it's a fantasy football game, but because this is clearly something you all have put effort and care into for years, and there's no reason you should be brushed aside. I'd also tell your wife how it felt when she offered sex. Sex shouldn't be something to be rewarded or withheld, and that rings alarm bells for me personally. You deserve to be surrounded by people who appreciate you just as much as you treat them. This isn't acceptable, and it's important you say something. I know it's uncomfortable, but it's worth it. Sending love to you, OP. OP. Thank you so much, really. I'm tearing up knowing someone else understands. I'm in the house feeling like I'm on an island alone. OOP update in the same post/day after October 31, 2022. Update. It's tomorrow, after a night of me sleeping on the couch. Last night I got an email apology from the girl who turned pale when she found out. My wife woke up at 6 a.m. to get ready for work, and I got up to help the kids get ready for school. She wanted to talk and asked if I could talk. I was half asleep and not really thinking. The first thing she said was that I need to keep perspective. She said it's not like she cheated on me, she just forgot something big, but worse things could have happened. I didn't respond. She asked how long she would be punished for this, and I just said it's not all about her. She's clearly frustrated and I'm too scared to say anything that would make her mad, feeling like she's pushing me to say something, anything. I realize she wasn't comforting or trying to understand me, she wants a complete resolution before we have to host the kids tonight. Right now, that's where we are. She texted me, "Good morning," and I haven't replied. Related opinions. Sirocco dream. When the planner doesn't plan, things don't get done. I'm sorry your lame friends didn't treat you right by remembering to celebrate your win. I'm even sorrier that none of them had the guts to apologize to your face in front of the group for being such a crappy friend. And lastly, to the guy who laughed and no one could shut him up, except my two-finger salute over the internet. Now that I've made it clear I'm definitely on your side, I ask you, what do you want to happen now? Really think long and hard about what you want. Yes, the whole fantasy football thing was crappy, but who are these people outside of that situation as friends? Do you call them if you need help moving, and will they show up? If you suffered a real tragedy, would any of them be the shoulder you cry on? If you have kids, or plan to have kids, would you want these people to be a part of your child's life? If these people are just college fantasy football bros, then maybe you need to consider letting them all go. You've put in considerable time and effort, and probably money, to make these events enjoyable for them, but when it was their turn to repay the favor, they didn't care enough to follow through. I don't blame them for not being more upfront in their apology on the day it happened. According to your account, they were all caught off guard, and most of us find it hard to admit our mistakes and apologize properly when we're still processing how much of an asshole we were. Has any of them reached out since? Only you can decide what these people mean to you, and whether you want them to continue being in your life. If I were you, I'd write a big article on all the things I've done for the group over the years, trying to make this event an epic yearly occurrence. I wouldn't curse or insult, but I'd make it clear to everyone that this yearly event was fun because I worked hard. Then I'd end it with how disappointing it was that none of them thought it was fitting to return the favor when I was the winner. I'd definitely point out the previous winner who laughed and was a total jerk, and how bad it was that they didn't shut that noise down. But I'm petty like that. Maybe you're not that petty. I'd put this in the group chat, or whatever medium you all use to communicate, and see what happens. Maybe you'll get a lot of heartfelt apologies, and they'll plan a grand bash in your honor, and all will be well. Or maybe you'll get a bunch of hatred back, and you'll see their true colors. Either way, you'll have your answer about what kind of friends they really are. Once you've sorted out the friend situation, you'll need to sort things out with your wife. I have a lot of questions for her, and I think you do too. Why didn't she arrange something to celebrate your win in the first place? A wife might be something that needs marriage counseling, but only you two can determine that. I don't know. I don't want anything as of this morning. I just want my wife to not be so stressed. But I kind of feel like she should have been the one not to do this. And Vorks. Does your wife always suck as bad as she did here? No. She's amazing and a great partner. But a big part of her personality is that she hates any feeling that she's done something wrong. It's like she becomes a different person. Hello, everybody, David here. Welcome. Here we share true stories from real people. Today, starting out with the first story. I, 23F, and my husband, 23M, are wondering if we should get a divorce. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. This account is a throwaway since friends/family follow my main account. Some personal details have been omitted for anonymity. I'll try to create a timeline of events in our relationship for context. TLDR is at the bottom. We met when we were 9 years old and started dating at 12. Remember, this is middle school dating. He cheated on me when we were 15 or 16. From that point, we kept getting back together and breaking up until we were 17. I was offered a full scholarship to a university across the country for athletics/academics. When I was 18, I hated my first and only semester there. I hated the team, the coaches, and I had no friends. He flew out to visit me and we got engaged at 18. A little over a month later, he flew back, and we got married at the courthouse. I moved back home after the semester ended. He was 18 and I was 19 when he joined a very tough/prestigious branch of the military. He left for 3 months of training. It was hard, but we managed. He returned for a few weeks and then left again for several months to attend school for his specific job. During this time, which I only found out later, he signed up on Bumble and paid over $50 and to upgrade for more swipes. He insists he never met anyone from there and that no conversations went beyond introductions. He also, again, something I found out years later, spent over $600 at a strip club. He claims he was pressured to go by his seniors and ended up paying for a VIP room for a friend who got one but couldn't pay, and my husband said his friend would get in trouble. That weekend, he went up and down the coast to multiple clubs and another strip club, as I later discovered. At 19, we moved and bought our first house together. At 20, he deployed. This would be one of the most difficult times in our lives, and it became even harder after he came home. He developed a porn addiction while deployed. I remember sitting on the bathroom floor at 4 a.m., refreshing one of his social media accounts, and seeing his follower count increase every 5 minutes. All porn accounts. He pressured me to take pictures and videos, and I felt guilty for not doing the things he wanted, feeling that if I didn't, he'd find someone else to do it for him. He came home 6 months later, and we were okay except for a few weeks after when I noticed that as soon as he got home from work, he'd almost immediately head to the bathroom and shower for over 45 minutes. Sometimes I'd go into the bathroom afterward, and I could tell he'd dropped the bottle of lube, as the floor was still slick, or I'd see the ring left on the counter from the bottom of the bottle. I tried my best to ignore it until one day I saw our account was charged $30 and by someone with a very interesting name. I confronted him and he immediately looked away, took a deep breath, ran his hands through his hair, and quickly came up with an excuse that it was his best friend's wife who bought them lunch during work. I don't know why, but I said okay and left it there. A few minutes later, he got up and said he felt sick and went to lie down. An hour later, I got a text from him apologizing and saying he developed a porn addiction during deployment, and that he had sent money to a girl for her premium Snapchat or something. He said he felt so guilty that he didn't even look at anything, and deleted her right after sending the money. I realized that on the day this transaction occurred, he had bought me flowers. He had never done that before, even on special occasions. From this point on, dates start to blur for me. I can't remember what happened first, when, or how far apart, but I'll try my best to provide as much information as I can recall. Sometime later, maybe weeks, maybe months, I woke up to a message from an old acquaintance on some social media platform. I think we were still 20 or maybe 21. I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was something like, "I just want you to know XXXX said this to me," or something like that. He had messaged her the night before, while drinking at a friend's house down the street, that he loved and missed her. I wish I could remember more, but for some reason I can't. I know she said something like, "You can't say that, you're married," and he responded with something like, "I don't care." I screamed at him to wake up, but he was still drunk. I told him I wanted a divorce. I locked myself in the bathroom and hurt myself because I wanted to feel anything other than what I was feeling at that moment. I don't know how much time passed. When I opened the door, he said he didn't send those messages. He said he had left his phone plugged into the speaker and his friend was using it to play music. He claimed that his friend must have seen the girl's story and messaged her, trying to get nudes. He even pulled out his phone with proof, a text conversation between him and his friend confirming that the friend had messaged her and apologized. I don't know why, but I immediately believed him. I remember feeling the most intense sense of, I don't even know the word for it, but whatever it is when you exhale after holding your breath and say, "Oh, thank God." I feel sick writing this because I realize how much I've forgotten and how much it feels like I'm missing something. I think at 21, the shit really hit the fan. I think at this point, I checked his phone multiple times and found internet history and links he had clicked through one of his social media accounts to hundreds of only FNS pages. One night, I went through his entire dollar account history since 2018 and found charges for the strip club and Bumble. He said that the Bumble charge wasn't his doing, but that a senior had used his card because his was frozen or some ridiculous story like that. And of course, I believed him. I don't know why. I can't remember when I found out that he had lied about messaging the girl on social media. I think it was after I went through his phone again and found messages between him and his friend, the one supposedly sending the messages. The friend was saying things like, "Bro, I can't even come to parties your wife is at because she hates me, lol," or something like that. But they both confirmed what I didn't want to believe. My husband had taken my phone, deleted the messages the girl had sent me, and had his friend concoct this elaborate story. I can't remember when I found out he had downloaded and paid for an upgrade on Bumble. I think it was when I finally knew he had lied and tortured him long enough for him to break. He said he never met anyone or anything and said in a conversation, "I only paid for the upgrade because no one would swipe on me anyway." Or something like that. I can't remember when we went to the legal office and got information to file for divorce. I had never seen him cry except one other time. After we got married at the airport, he cried so hard and wouldn't let me see. He just held me and buried his face in my chest so I couldn't see. He said he didn't want to leave. But he cried constantly after I told him it was over, and I had an appointment and the paperwork to file for divorce. I had never seen him like this before. Constantly apologizing, deleting every social media account he ever owned. Crying at the drop of a pin. Saying things like he would never marry again. I could have all of our savings. He'd pay for me to finish college if that's what I wanted. I caved, and we went to marriage counseling. He stepped up, a lot. He never looked at his phone anymore. He'd leave his phone unlocked and face down on the table. He told me I could go through it anytime I wanted. Promised to stop watching porn. He even started cleaning the house and cooking dinner before I got home from work. He stopped drinking with friends. It was a complete 180. For a while. Problems started to arise when every little thing could trigger a panic attack. He couldn't go out with friends without me getting anxious. Maybe a few weeks later, he started drinking with friends again. One night, he wasn't home when he said he would be, and I broke down. I ended up in the hospital, and that was just the beginning of this toxic cycle. He'd do something to set me off, whether it was drinking with his friends or occasionally watching a short YouTube clip that I'd find in his watch history of a half-naked woman with her breasts hanging out and bouncing up and down. I'd scream at him, berate him, and tear him down because I wanted him to feel exactly how I felt. I think marriage counseling eventually helped a lot. After the hospital, I finally got my own therapist. She's my best friend. I still text her to this day. I don't have any friends where we live. He works with friends every day and every weekend they have parties. I have no one. My friends and family are back home. I'm shy, with really bad social anxiety, and have always had a hard time making friends because I can't seem to open my mouth when there are more than 3 people in the room. Every time he goes somewhere, I feel so alone. I think at 22, our marriage really started to improve again. We went on vacation together and were able to work out a lot of issues, and we could communicate the things we were feeling, which was amazing. We both felt heard, and we could find means of compromise on issues and set boundaries that each of us respected. I had just turned 23 when I moved back home a few months before his contract ended. He finished up with the house and his job and moved back home with me. He tried a blue-collar job working nights, earning pretty good money, even more than he made in the military. But he hated it. He hated everything about it. He missed his friends and his job. His friends were his family. This was the first time I saw him truly depressed. 5 months later, he joined a different branch of the military. I didn't want him to. I wanted him to stay and have a normal life with me. I wanted to do normal jobs and have a family. He didn't. He said he didn't even want to have a family. I started nursing school, and my best friend, who I barely get to see, had a baby. I finally had a group of friends and a family I could talk to every week. He left and got stationed in another state, but this time only about 600 miles away. Far, but drivable. He came home to visit just a week after being there. We were doing well at this point, texting and calling a lot. Over a month ago, he went across the country for a 6-week desert training exercise. Most of that time, he didn't have his phone, but he could text me once over a week ago. Then he stopped texting until I messaged him that my pet had died. He responded immediately. I realized he had his phone but wasn't talking to me. Yesterday morning, he texted me saying he was going on his next leave with an old military friend from his previous branch, and for the leave after that, he wanted to visit his extended family in another state. We've talked a lot since then, none of it good. I asked why he was pushing me away, and he said he was focused on his goals. I said I felt like I was being ignored until he was ready to acknowledge me and our marriage, and I tried to tell him he didn't need to be alone and I'd support him. He said, "But you can't, you say you can, but you don't support college or the CIA, so I feel like I should just do this alone and cut out some negativity." And I realized he was right. He was in college when we were around 21, maybe 22, and I really made fun of him because I didn't realize he was serious. I didn't believe he could do something like that. He had just graduated high school. He went to a total of 4 different high schools and never had a GPA above 1.5. I tried to do his homework to help him stay afloat, but he didn't care. I even enrolled him in the same online academy I attended, since public school didn't fit my sports schedule, and I had to do every class and every assignment for him because he would never do them. He ended up graduating from what you'd call an alternative high school. After he told me he wanted to go to college, he told me he would join the CIA. This was bewildering to me. I didn't know what to do because he wanted me to support him, but I didn't want to lie to him that I believed he could do it. I guess I still don't. And I feel awful, and I can't imagine how it feels to have your spouse not support you unconditionally. I don't know how to support him in something I don't think he can do. And now, here we are. Neither of us wants to get divorced. We both know our relationship isn't at its best. Neither of us knows what to do. I'd feel so lost and empty without him. I've known him for more than half my life. Our personalities are shaped around each other. We talk the same, we have the same mannerisms. We grew up together and grew into adults together. I just want to add that the experiences I just listed were the worst times. We've had amazing experiences together. We have so much fun together. He makes me laugh more than anyone else can. He knows everything about me and has been there for every major moment in my life. I'm absolutely terrified of the future. I'm scared to tell my family if we get divorced. I don't want to be another statistic. I know we got married young. I know we're a military family. I know that. I know that most of these marriages end in divorce, but I really thought we were different. I don't want to start over. I'm almost 24, and I know that's still considered young, but I've known him for 14 years. I think we've started thinking about having a family together. He just wants to focus on his career and says he doesn't even think he wants a family. I don't know what to do anymore. If you're still here, thank you for reading. I'm sorry if I'm all over the place. I've never shared all of this with anyone. I'm ashamed of my situation and feel like I don't know what to do anymore. I'm really nervous to read any responses because I think I know what they'll all say. TLDR married young, he's in the military, history of infidelity, on my side, verbal abuse, and lack of support. Marriage counseling has helped in the past, but we're at a point where we feel like we want different things, but we still love each other and don't want a divorce. Neither of us knows what to do. Update 1 in the comments section, September 29, 2023. After over 1,000 people tore me apart in the comments, I wanted to give an update and answer a few questions. First off, yes, I can type like an a-hole. I had every intention of making this post anonymously, which obviously failed as soon as I started typing. I didn't think this would get more than a few thousand views and some comments. I typed out every embarrassing detail because I needed to see it all in one place for myself. Some said that I must be exhausting to be around if I told friends and family all of this. Well, you'll be happy to know that no one knows. I've never told any of my friends or family even a fraction of what's happened. That's why I wrote a saga. I wanted one person to know everything and tell me what to do because my brain has become a complicated mess, kind of rose-colored of. I don't even know. I've made my husband out to be this powerful, loving, lovable, and charismatic provider. And I know why. I've spent my entire life wanting to be the best at everything. My dad's favorite thing to say to me every day after practice was, "Second place is just the first loser." And I held on to that. I was the best. I was the best student in school. I ranked first in my high school class of over 700 people. I have hundreds of medals and titles. I placed second at nationals one year, though to me that wasn't an achievement, but I know it should be. But after dropping out of college and leaving a full scholarship for athletics and academics, I wanted it to mean something. I never told anyone that I left because I hated it and couldn't face it. I told everyone that I got married and he joined the Marines, and I wanted to support him. I didn't want anyone to realize I couldn't hack it. I wanted it to mean something. And if I had problems in my marriage or if I got divorced, it would mean nothing. I would lose again. And I couldn't lose. I grew up hiding in my closet when I heard my dad yelling at my siblings for getting C's and D's in school. I knew what losing would get you. And I wouldn't lose. My mom cheated on my dad when I was little. I remember waking up one morning to them screaming on the front lawn, my mom trying to get in the car to go to work, and my dad grabbing her arm and pulling her out of the car. They didn't know I saw. They got over it, if that's what you want to call it. I thought that's what you had to do. I thought marriage was supposed to be hard, and you had to work as hard as you could to fix your ups and downs. A lot of people asked if I wanted to live the rest of my life like this. Of course I don't. Who would want that? Why did I stay even after the first time? Well, a starving person will eat anything. I actually read every comment, even the hurtful ones. You motherfuckers are assholes, and I needed that. I needed more than 1,000 people to tell me I was a blind idiot to realize marriage isn't supposed to be like this. And I deserve better. Because I do. I really do deserve better. And to all the people who said I wouldn't leave because I haven't left yet. I will prove you wrong. I won't go back. I won't settle. I had heard the phrase, sunk cost fallacy before, but I didn't know what it meant. I do now. Thank you to everyone, even those who thought this post was a creative writing piece. I laughed at the realization that my life and marriage had become so awful, it was unbelievable. On a final note, yes, I commented with my main account a few times. It doesn't even matter anymore. And please message me and tell me I got this because I'm going to need it so badly. I feel like I've been dragged to the edge of a cliff by the rug, and I can't find my footing. I don't know where the ground is or when it's coming. But I know where I'm going is better than where I am now. Update, 1 year later, August 2, 2024. Hi everyone, it's been almost a year. I can't believe it's been almost a year. I don't think I've ever done an update like this before, so I hope I do it right and it doesn't get deleted. I meant to update sooner, I really did. But I've been busy living my life to the fullest extent possible. I can honestly say that I didn't even think I could enjoy life this much. I've never experienced happiness like this. Honestly, I find it hard to put into words how amazing my life has become. I filed for divorce probably within 48 hours of posting that post. The papers were signed a month later, and the divorce was finalized 2 months after that. It was completely uncontested. We didn't share any assets, no kids, thank God. It was honestly a lot easier than I expected. The hardest part was telling my family, especially my mom. Everyone loved him so much because, unfortunately, I made him out to be so perfect. Finding out otherwise was almost a slap in the face, and I felt terrible. She cried for days. But she was very supportive of me. Everyone was so supportive of me. I'm about to turn 25. I decided to go get my nursing license. That's the path I'm on now. I've made an incredible group of friends this past year. If I'm not working, I'm out having fun. I'm doing something exciting every day. I'll try to respond to every comment, but I've been busy lately. I've really started to find myself. And I'm amazing. I'm capable of so much. And I'm brave. I'm so brave. I made one particular friend from my first post, Bethany 200,300. Thank you, and my best friend Katie, if you're reading this. Thank you for keeping me accountable and loving me unconditionally. I really didn't realize how terrible of a situation I was in, at least not until after I posted that first post and got so many eye-opening comments. But so many people were right. I already knew the answer to my question. There's really something odd about that. It doesn't even feel real. Whenever I try to think about my life over the past few years, I can barely remember anything. It's almost like I'm trying to recall a story someone else told me. Whatever I do remember, I remember almost like I was an audience member, or an invisible third person in the room. And I just think about that poor girl and what she was going through. I can't even imagine how awful it was. It doesn't even feel like that was me. My real life started the moment he was gone. We don't talk anymore. We haven't talked much since December. One of our last interactions, he was very sad about the divorce and regretted it, then went on to threaten that he would kill anyone I date in the future. Yeah, it's recorded to the best of my ability. I don't think he would actually do anything like that. He hasn't even been back in this state this year. I think he's been too busy. Last I heard through the grapevine, he got drunk, had a one-night stand, and got some girl pregnant. She wants to keep the baby. He doesn't. I think she even took a brick to his car and smashed it. If I could give him one last piece of advice, it would be to start a savings account to pay for that poor kid's therapy bills in the future. And to ask if he's ever realized that most of the huge mistakes in his life are alcohol-related. But alas, that's not my problem. He'll never hear from me again. And I can say that with complete happiness and confidence. To everyone who said I wouldn't do it and that I wasn't capable of leaving, fuck you and thank you. I did it. I left. I didn't walk, I ran. I sprinted. And I didn't look back. Thank you, Reddit, for helping save my life. To anyone who might be going through something similar, you can do it, I believe in you. If I can do it, so can you. The other side is brighter than you can imagine.